Good, happy Tuesday evening, November 9, 2021. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Tuesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, Astro World victim recounts scary stampede. There was no oxygen left to breathe. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Want to protect your project and tools? Check out Ring Job Site Security, only at the Home Depot. It has built-in LTE.
Joining us now is one of the survivors from the Astro World concert, Cynthia Lira. Cynthia, first off, we're so sorry for what you endured. What do you remember from that night?
I remember being so excited to be there. And then it was 3 hours before Travis started. And I was just waiting there at the front. And then 30 minutes before it all happened, people started pushing like real tight to the front. And then it was to the point where like you had to have your arms like this because you could not breathe. Like the chest was being compressed the entire time. It was 5 minutes before. There was no oxygen left to breathe because I'm not a shorter person. I'm 5'4". Everyone around me was like 5'6" or taller. So there was like no oxygen left to breathe. And then when the minutes started, someone told me to, like, I gotta go. And I also had to go. I felt like I was gonna pass out if I stayed there longer. And then the concert started, and like we were trying to go back, we were trying to get out, and there was no space left to move. And it was just very traumatic seeing how like no one would like make way for you because either some of them did not care, other people really could not move.
And so what was happening? The crowd all of a sudden at once started moving toward the stage, or what were you experiencing personally right where you were?
Yeah, so the people, they started to push towards the front. There was like lots of waves of people just pushing forward. And then Travis at one point said everyone moved side to side. And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, no, like that's going to cause people to fall down. And that's when like sinkholes for people started falling. And then that's when I became trapped in the bottom of everyone.
And you went into lengthy detail on Twitter about what happened to you. You mentioned not getting into an ambulance because you don't have health insurance. Have you been able to get medical attention yet? And how are you feeling now? Because you talk about not feeling like you had enough oxygen at the time.
Yeah, so a lot of people on Twitter, which I'm thankful for everybody because the responses, they were recommending me to go anyways, that if there's going to be a lawsuit, that they will pay for it. So I did. I'm going to the hospital yesterday. They did a CT scan. Everything was fine. I still have some like numbing in my right arm, and my right knee is also a bit injured, but those are just injuries that with time they will heal. So I'm relatively good.
Did you see people who potentially had injuries around you who didn't seem like time would be able to heal? People who were passed out or worse?
Yeah, there was a victim in front of me. He was in the same hall of bodies as I was in. I saw him carrying out at the stretcher. There was another girl that I was holding her hand. I hope she's doing fine. She was also at the bottom of the pile. I saw another girl. She had lots of bruises and inflammation in her face. She was red. She could barely heal me.
And you tweeted, I barely survived one of the worst concert tragedies in history. Someone needs to be held accountable. In your opinion, who should be held accountable?
I believe Travis Scott should be held accountable. He knew what was going on. He saw the crowd. He saw the ambulances there. He did not do anything to stop it. There's been many other concerts where I've seen artists stop if somebody passes out. He saw people passing out. He didn't stop it. The crew member with the girl in the camera, he did not. He dismissed it. He didn't do anything to stop it. So I think staff should have been more prepared. And Travis Scott should have stopped the concert when he saw all of this happening.
I mean, but there was a lot of activity going on the stage, and he was into the performance. Do you think that it's possible, though, that he didn't see what was happening?
There was an ambulance in the middle of the crowd with flashing lights. He saw the ambulance. Kylie Jenner posted that on her Instagram story too. She saw the ambulance and nothing was done.
Do you see yourself ever going back to attending concerts in the future?
If I do ever go attending concerts, I will be staying in the back where there's oxygen and room to breathe. And yeah.
Cynthia Lira, we thank you so much for sharing your story with us and certainly wish you all the best.
Thank you for the opportunity of sharing the story.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. New book account of what Trump said day after he lost the election. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Killer taste, killer nutrition, Dave's Killer Bread, bread amplified.
We learned late today of new subpoenas in the January 6th investigation targeting several members of former President Trump's inner circle. And tonight, new reporting here from Jonathan Karl on former President Trump's threat to his own party on his way out of the White House. Here's Sean.
On the day Donald Trump left the White House for the last time, he decided that if he lost the election, he would take the Republican Party down with him.
So, have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Inside, he was fuming. As I reported in my upcoming book, Betrayal, the Final Act of the Trump Show, soon after boarding Air Force One for the very last time, Trump took a call from Republican Party Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. According to multiple sources familiar with the conversation, Trump told McDaniel he was done with the GOP. "I'm starting my own party," he said. "You cannot do that," McDaniel told Trump. "If you do, we will lose forever." "Exactly. You lose forever without me," Trump replied. "I don't care." Republican leaders responded with a warning. If Trump left the party, they would stop paying his legal fees, and they would take control of his email list of donors, which Trump rents to candidates for millions of dollars. The hardball tactics worked. Trump backed down.
Trump and McDaniel issued statements together denying this report. Those denials are a lie, and they both know the denials are a lie. This account comes from multiple high-level GOP sources. Here's a quote from one top RNC official who directly witnessed the call and described to me Trump's reaction when McDaniel told him that he would cause Republicans to lose forever. Quote, "He didn't care. It was punishment. He said exactly you would lose forever."
Really interesting reporting, and I know this is just the beginning of what you have, John. In the meantime, you talk about this party he was threatening to leave, threatening to start his own party, but 78% of Republicans in that recent Quinnipiac poll say they want him to run again in the party he was threatening to leave.
Which is why Republican leaders have calculated they absolutely need Trump. They may be fearful of what he will do. They absolutely need him. In fact, tonight, David, Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader in the House, is having a big fundraiser, and the headline speaker is Donald Trump.
All right, John Karl reporting tonight.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. U.S. border reopened for fully vaccinated visitors. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Those two major headlines in this long pandemic: the hugs today to thousands of reunions. For the first time in at least 18 months, the U.S. lifting travel restrictions on 33 countries, including Canada, Mexico, and most of Europe. And then we learned this evening that Pfizer is likely to ask now for authorization for boosters for millions of Americans 18 and older. First, those twin flights taking off simultaneously from London's Heathrow Airport today, bound for New York City. Passengers required to have proof of vaccination and a negative COVID test within 3 days of traveling here. Tonight, images of emotional reunions coming in from across the country, families together right here at JFK Airport, a couple hugging following a flight from Germany to Chicago's O'Hare Airport. And this image tonight near Buffalo, New York, cars lining up at the Canadian border, waiting to come in. And then just before we came on the air tonight, we learned of that request soon coming from Pfizer. There could soon be boosters for millions more Americans. ABC's Stephanie Ramos leading us off tonight.
American borders reopening today for thousands of fully vaccinated visitors from 33 countries for the first time in at least 18 months. For families and loved ones separated by the pandemic, emotional reunions.
She was a little girl when I last saw her. She's a big girl and an adult now.
Bhavna Patel finally getting to meet her grandson.
There's no words. You can't describe. How do you describe this feeling? You know? It's such a joy.
Celebrations kicking off early in the UK as crowds lined up to board planes to the US. Twin flights taking off together from Heathrow Airport and getting a big welcome on arrival in the US.
I feel like David Beckham. It's crazy.
Those visitors 18 and older must show proof of vaccination and a negative COVID test within 3 days of traveling. And at the US border with Mexico and Canada, proof of vaccination only, as thousands of vaccinated travelers crowd checkpoints and airports. In Los Angeles today, a protest against a vaccine mandate for city workers. But in New York City, the mandate appears to be working. 93% of city workers are now vaccinated. But over the weekend, an appeals court blocking the Biden administration's mandate for businesses. The owner of this hardwood company in Memphis doesn't plan to enforce the new rule.
I think it's very important to get vaccinated. I, however, think the government has no right to tell you to get vaccinated.
Vaccinations of 5 to 11-year-olds this week ramping up at pharmacies. And across New York City, pop-up clinics at public schools.
This is basically the best annual triumph I've had in, years.
Over the weekend, even Big Bird announcing he got the vaccine, tweeting, "My wing is feeling a little sore, but it'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy." Big Bird drawing praise from the president, but backlash from Senator Ted Cruz tweeting, "Government propaganda for your 5-year-old." David, a U.S. government official tells ABC News Pfizer is likely to seek authorization from the FDA for vaccine boosters for those 18 and older as early as this week. No word on when a decision could come down, but health officials say they expected a third shot would be necessary to boost protection. David.
All right, Stephanie Ramos from New York's Times Square. Steph, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for...
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at the weather across the United States for this evening. In Boston is 48 degrees, New York City 56 degrees, Washington D.C. 49 degrees, Atlanta 45 degrees, Jacksonville, Florida 54 degrees, Tampa Bay, Florida, 60 degrees, and Miami, Florida, 69 degrees. Dallas, 60 degrees. Las Vegas, 54 degrees. Phoenix, 55 degrees. Los Angeles, 55 degrees. And San Francisco, 52 degrees. That is a look at the weather across the United States for this Tuesday evening. And that does it for this Tuesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching and tuning in. Have a great evening and see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. Good night and goodbye.